Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pam Laporte,
Here.
Carl Cowan,
Here.
Dana Booker,
Here.
Erin Meager,
Here.
Heather Alden.
Here. I'd like to remind everybody that this meeting will be audio and video recorded.
Northbridge Public Schools is a proud community focused on the education and well-being of all students. We recognize each student as an individual, and we provide creative and innovative learning opportunities that encourage them to use their unique voices and personal strengths to achieve success both academically and personally.
Thank you. Start with the superintendent's report.
Yep. So we had a busy day here at the high school. Freshman orientation was going on today, and then they also had their cookout with the link leaders. We've had new staff orientation going on yesterday and today here at the high school. Jill had 26 new staff yesterday, and we still have more coming. And then we had leadership. We have it all week this week. We had it today with just our district and building leaders, and then tomorrow and Thursday we have it with the DCs and the team leaders from the elementary school. And we do have a professional development person that's going to be coming in and working with our large leadership team on high performing and collaborative teams. So that should be interesting. Jill and I had multiple meetings with them in advance just to make sure. Sometimes when people from the outside come in to do training, it doesn't always align with what we're doing or connect. But Jill and I have had multiple meetings with this particular provider, and they've been really great about structuring things to make sure they align with our strategic plan, our goals, our context. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a productive couple days, and then Friday I'll be working with the department chairs from the middle and high school only on an action plan that will align with my CAP for grades 6 through 12 and how that's going to be implemented, and to ensure that our students are getting that career exploration and exposure from 6 to 12, and also to talk about our timeline and action plan for implementing the graduation requirements, the updated graduation requirements. So busy week. We also had a meeting yesterday. Today's Tuesday, right? Yesterday, a virtual meeting with the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the MSBA. It was a follow-up to the new building. I met with them, with Lauren and Lorinda. George Simmons couldn't meet with us, but they're going to be coming back probably in February to do like a site visit. And what they're trying to do is gather information about how the process went for us. And now that we've been in for, going into our 5th year, like what has gone well with our systems, operations, how's drop off and pickup look, around the design, what are the pain points for the teachers. So they're going to be coming in and they're going to be sending out a survey to various stakeholders, to parents, to teachers, to administration, and asking questions that relate to their specific role. But then they're also going to be coming in and they're going to start before school starts. They're going to watch drop off. They're going to stay through the day, watch like the cafeteria transitions, the transitions between classes, look at the bathrooms. Do we have adequate bathrooms for the number of kids in the building? Blah, 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 blah. And then they're going to give us a report on the feedback. It's nothing that is held against us. It's simply informational, and can potentially help us guide, any kind of operational or capital improvements that we may need to make down the road based on that feedback. But my question to them was, are you going to share this with the OPM and the design team and the architects? Because there have been things that have, transpired since the building committee, finished up, that we've had to make changes in that building. painting all walls off-white in an elementary school PK to 5 is not the greatest choice, you know? We had sinks in the preschool that the measurements of the sinks, the kids couldn't even get their hands in because the lip was too far. It's not huge things, but definitely things that impacted, or, not having covering on the walls in the hallways where the kids come in and out with their backpacks and their bottles and everything. So we definitely have some feedback for them. But they will share that with us, once they triangulate everything, and I will share it with the committee. But I'm glad they do that, and it can inform future building projects that they're, reimbursing or sponsoring. So, also good news, we were selected to receive, thanks to Mrs. Healy, the early literacy high dosage tutoring. It's somewhat of a grant. It was offered through DESE. And it's for this coming school year, and it will happen, the tutoring will happen, and it's for reading intervention primarily, and it's geared towards students who have scored below or well below benchmark assessments for reading growth. So the tutoring is geared to accelerate the reading growth, and it's going to be a company that DESE has selected, called Catapult Learning. And they'll be sending in trained tutors to come in, and they're focusing on we have 23 seats that they've given us, or 23 students that they'll be focusing on. We have to choose the students based on the parameters around the well below. If we can't identify 23 first graders that are well below or below, then we can choose some other students K to 3 that are well below. But I think we'll probably end up with mostly first graders and maybe a couple second. But they'll be coming in to do that. They'll do that during the wind blocks, during the school day. We didn't want to do it before or after school because transportation might not be available or possible for those kids to stay, the ones that really need it. So we figured during the day was the easiest. So that was, thank you, Mrs. Healy, for seeking that out for us. And then lastly, our beginning of the year packets will be going out tomorrow, and it includes all the information about the water bottles, which we have in our possession. Those will be handed out on the first day, and information on our new residency policy if it is in fact approved tonight, as well as much other information, but those will be going out tomorrow.
Thank you. Any questions? I'll be curious about the surveys by the teachers and parents that will go to.
Yeah.
While I'm not happy to be a guinea pig for them, if any lessons are learned, or in particular about the drop-off patterns that have been created at NES, because
Yeah.
they're wild. It's a jungle in there.
Yeah. Oh, Lauren, Lorinda, and I, the first thing that we, all three of us said was, when it snows, and the snow piles that are created that we have no place to put, and what kind of chaos that creates for staff parking and then for the drop off and pick up is just insane. So yeah, there's going to be plenty of feedback coming your way, I think.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. I'll do the committee meeting minutes and then the warrants together. If I can get a motion for the school committee meeting minutes from July 21st, 2026, and the school committee meeting minutes from July 30th, 2026.
Motion to approve the school committee meeting minutes from July 21st and July 30th, both in 2026. I was gonna say that in 26. I promise I'll do better in September.
Second.
Dana Booker,
Yes.
Carl Cowan,
Yes.
Erin Meager,
Yes.
Pam Laporte,
Yes.
Heather Alden.
Yes.
It is approved.
Okay. And warrant 27-04, July 23rd, 2026, in the amount of $391,515.15. And warrant 27-07, August 13th, 2026, in the amount of $1,267.67.
Warrant, motion to approve warrant 2704, July 23rd, $391,515.15. Warrant 2707, August 13th, 2026, $200,000, $200,267.67.
Second.
Okay, Aaron Meager,
Yes.
Heather Alden,
Yes.
Pam Laporte,
Yes.
Dana Booker,
Yes.
Carl Cowan.
Yes.
They're approved.
Thank you. Next up is discussion. And first on is superintendent's proposed goals for 2026-2027.
And if I might make a suggestion, let
Neil,
Mr.
right.
Panuccio go first so we can leave.
Yep.
If I would like to stay the whole
Oh, you're welcome to stay. You are welcome to stay.
Yeah.
Trying to do you a favor, Neil.
For the record, I've also experienced the drop off and the pickup at the elementary school, and it's a lot of fun.
I haven't had the experience.
Try it sometime. It's just for fun.
I'm Neil Plucha. I'm one of the senior class advisors here to present or propose our senior class trip. I don't know exactly how this works. Do you want me to just tell you about it?
Please.
So we are planning on going to North Country Rivers to go whitewater rafting. It's in Bingham, Maine, which is a little bit of a haul. It's probably 3.5, maybe 4 hours. My favorite thing about this trip, though, is I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a lot of these kids. I don't think they're going to get to go whitewater rafting very often, if at all. So I think that's a draw. And the other good thing about this trip is when you get there, all the kids are in one spot. And we went maybe 5 years ago, I was on the trip, and like a 45-person volleyball tournament broke out among kids who probably have never talked to each other in high school before. Whereas other class trips that I've been on, it's pockets of friends go here and pockets of friends, and it's just, you might as well just be hanging out with your friends at your house. So everybody's kind of in one spot, and you kind of have to make your own fun the first day, because we go whitewater rafting the second day. It is an overnight trip. But when we went 5 years ago, the kids had a ton of fun, and the rafting, I think, is, like I said, something that they don't get to experience, and it's something that pretty much every kid says that was unbelievable. Like they just, it's not, you can't even, if you've never been, it's so hard to describe. Like the first time I went, I'm like, I don't really want to go rafting. I'm just going to go away for the weekend so I don't have to, whatever. And I went rafting. I'm like, that was so much fun. So it's a very fun experience. And I think the kids that we've taken before have had a great time.
How many chaperones do you know?
Well, as far as, we'll start with the kids first. There's typically about 190 to 100. Typically, we go for about 8 chaperones. I think the trip that we went on this past year, I want to say there was, 6 with a nurse, so 7 adults total. But we usually shoot for around 8 and then a nurse, so 9 adults total.
And then where are you looking to stay?
So there's the North Country Rivers is a company, and they have, so when we went 5 years ago, there's 2 huge cabins that have to hold 40 to 50 kids each. So we get those 2, and then if, I think there was we were a little over, and so the advisors handpicked a small group to go into a smaller cabin, just, 25 feet away, still on the same grounds. So it's all right there.
And is it too soon to know estimated costs or anything like that?
We don't know the exact, of course. I could tell you it's probably going to be over 200 per student. However, starting last year, continuing this year, any profits made on we have 2 main fundraisers. Any profits that the students make this year and the one last year go directly towards their senior trip, as well as their prom ticket, if they so choose. I know that's a lot of money, and prom's going to be a lot of money. So I think they started this maybe a couple of years ago. Someone last year went for free because they sold so much whatever. So it really takes the students that say, well, I can't really afford that. It kind of takes that away from them and, well, just sell something then. And I know that some kids still aren't going to be able to, like, we'll work with those kids if we have to, but it is an opportunity to cut down on that cost.
So what is the timeline that will have like more specific details so that we can get this? So if you have to start fundraising or when you're gonna finalize your details with them to start signing?
Yeah, I mean, it won't be we don't have to finalize it until probably February or March. I mean, we're going to fundraise regardless, so that's, doesn't matter to that. But yeah, as far as like numbers go, like we'll get an early count of who's interested probably the first day of school when we have meetings. I couldn't tell you an exact date of when we're going to have all the financials, but as far as price goes, we can get that sooner rather than later. If that pleases them.
Does the company, North Country Rivers, that's the name of the company?
Yep.
I'm sure they go through, safety briefings with the kids, flotation devices.
Yep, we have, so everybody, with helmets, everybody has, when we went last time, because it was May, they made us all wear wetsuits, as well as life jackets. They go through the whole spiel about everything. Each raft has its own guide. If you don't want to go into the crazy rapids, you can tell your guide that ahead of time, and you can kind of steer away from those, and it's a little bit more leisurely. Other students will tell their guides that we want to hit every single rapid that there is, and so it's kind of, you can tailor it towards your own thing. But yeah, I've been to this place both with friends and with class, like a class, and every time they go through all the safety protocol, and it's very straightforward.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
So Neil, all you have to do is, once you can wait, you have time. Once you figure out like how many kids might be interested and you know what the solid price is, just fill out like a regular field trip form.
Okay.
And attach the information to it, and we'll bring it through the committee for an official discussion and vote, but you got plenty of time.
Yeah, I plan on contacting the buses the first month of school. Just might as well just get them, and then that way we'll have a better. I'm estimating the buses are probably going to cost $6,000 each, or close to it. They were quoted last year. They didn't end up going, but last year they were quoted $5,500 each. I'm assuming that's kind of what I figured. I don't know off the top of my head North Country Rivers price per student, but once I have the buses, I can contact them again, and so I could probably get a price, I would say by October.
Yeah.
Just I'll fill out that form.
Yeah, no rush. You got plenty of time.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was $500 a week. It's crazy.
You want to go right in? Okay. So these are my proposed goals, and open to feedback or different ideas. So my first goal, my professional practice goal, which is really a goal to improve my own individual practice for this year, and our goal of intentional leadership in the strategic plan, is to participate in 2 15-hour courses called Leading Strategically, developed by Harvard Graduate School. This is kind of an expansion, or last year I did the Leading with Perseverance with a team of my administrators. This is an individual training, you can't bring a team. This is for individual, like superintendents or district leaders. It's kind of like what we did, an expansion of it, but like on steroids. So there's two 15-hour courses, and then there's some virtual webinars that will be done with leaders across Massachusetts. All of it outside the school day. The courses are asynchronous, so I'll be doing them when I have time, in the evenings, most likely, or weekends. But they start November 16th. My student learning goal is around the graduation requirements and the MyCap, because we don't have a long timeline to get all of this implemented. So making sure that even though 6 through 12 is where the requirement is for MyCap, and that the graduation requirements really are going to impact high school students, we need to start even down in the elementary school getting these kids some career exposure. So hosting annual career days for elementary, not sure what that will look like yet, and comprehensive career fairs for the secondary students, giving interest and strength inventories to all students. That's part of the MyCap process anyway, in the score, but we don't do that down at the elementary school. But it's important that we do, because once we know what students are interested in or even thinking about, we can provide them more exposure. And hopefully another one of the initiatives here is to try to implement some of those things into the lessons or into the curriculum. You know, if there's a lot of students that are really, really interested in AI, you know, how can we implement that into a history lesson or a social studies lesson or a science lesson? Or if students are really, really interested in animal science, which we have a ton of students that are interested in animal science at the middle school, how can we incorporate that and get them more exposure in science class or even in English class if they're doing some research and writing? So finding ways that we can find opportunities that we wouldn't normally think of to expose kids a little bit more, and helping the coaches and the teachers develop some resources, initial resources, and some lesson starters that they can use to do this easily, and inviting community members and alumni to speak to classrooms 2 to 12 and, you know, share their journeys. I know Mr. Finkel does a lot of that in his law pathway. You know, we get a lot of, you know, police officers, court officers, judges that come and speak to the kids, but it's limited. There's not a lot of exposure for other kids to other professions. So we need to diversify that, spread that out more. So that's my proposed goal too, is around making sure that we have a good plan to implement those new graduation requirements and the MyCap, and then also beginning that career exposure starting in grade 2. My third goal, district improvement goal, around staff, family, community engagement, and I think I mentioned this, is to provide quarterly state of the school reports to our Board of Selectmen Finance Committee, just about everything that's going on in the school district, to keep them up to date and let the taxpayers know what their money is paying for right now and what they're doing. I know one of the school committee's goals was around quarterly informational meetings for parents, and I would add that as well, participate in those meetings in case there were questions that couldn't be answered by the school committee that maybe I could help with. And then also offering quarterly listening sessions at the schools. I used to do that right at the beginning because of COVID and everything that we went through, and it was really useful. And then, you know, everything just kind of piled up and it kind of went to the wayside. But I would like to do that on a consistent basis, and use that feedback to share with my leadership team to figure out ways that we can boost staff morale, improve retention, because you will see when I hand out the staffing report, we've had some issues for the last couple weeks. And then attending at least one community or town event or activity or a volunteer opportunity in the Northbridge community at least once per quarter. Making sure that I put myself out there where families can see in an environment outside of just school events. And then I did add a second district improvement goal, just because we need to do it. And that's reviewing our current policy manual, like front to back. This is a 2-year goal. I wrote it as a 2-year plan because it's immense. It's over 500 pages long. So, we've done a lot of updating over the past several years, but there's so many that are outdated that may only simply need a revision up to what MASC has in their policy manual right now. But there are some that we probably need to review that, are very outdated. So it's kind of an administrivia, but if I put it as a goal, I'm more likely to hold myself accountable to not make it the last thing that I do. So, open to feedback or suggestions or thoughts.
Start? I can if you want.
Okay. So maybe I'll start at the bottom and work our way up. So I think the 2 years on the policy makes a lot of sense. And I'm also like that I need that deadline to like motivate myself because that's going to be a beast. So as a member of the policy committee, look forward to working with you on that. As far as the communication one, I just, want to commend all the work that was done the last couple of years, having, before getting on this board, been in the community at those parent meetings. It's so valuable to have that connection. I just really love the idea of now having opportunity for staff members because they're a part of our community as well. So really commend you on adding that in there. And then I did just have the MCAP stuff sounds very interesting. Having a second grader, I can only imagine how he'd respond to an inventory about careers, but exposing them early is absolutely key. I work with college students who don't know what they want to do, and that's, it sets them on a difficult path after high school if they don't know where they're heading. So starting that early, I think, is great. And then my only kind of thought or feedback on the professional practice goal is maybe, in here it talks about how you're going to address a priority and kind of like focus on like an action with that. If we can embed that into the SMART goal piece of it, like making that more specific so we can know at the end, like, okay, she went through this training and addressed this problem, and maybe that will come over time as you go through the training.
Yeah, I'm not, the descriptor of, I'd like to at least go to one session
Yes.
and see what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
So what would be they made us do it with Leading with Perseverance too. If you recall, we originally had started with our marginalized populations and trying to incorporate their families more. And it kind of evolved a little differently as we went on, just because the nature of the course changed our course.
Yeah.
So,
Which makes sense, and it should, right?
Yeah.
Like what you learn should influence the direction.
Yeah, and I definitely will connect it to our strategic plan without a doubt. I'm just not sure which
piece of it.
Right.
Yeah, but would love to see that fed in as you go through the training and
Yeah.
hear more about it. So we can say at the end of it, okay, like this was like the clear outcome of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're great, thank you.
I think that your goal 1 makes a lot of sense to take the next level from your previous goal. And like you said, to evolve it from and tie it into our strategic plan. You always do a lovely job of bringing it back to our strategic plan. Everything you do always brings it back to that. I'm really excited about my CAP plan as someone that has a high school student who's a little bit unclear about what he wants to do as he enters his junior year, and then having a 4th grader who has said she wants to be a vet since she was in kindergarten. It's very nuanced to have that. And then as one that participated in your first career day at the middle school, I think it will be interesting to start that at the NES level to see how their questions and thought process evolves, because I think at the middle school level, they're in this awkward phase of life of they don't really know how to talk to adults and explore what they want to do when they're grown-ups. But they're also at the beginning of phase of where they really should start to see where it is they want to go in their future. So I think starting it at that young age where they actually might be more moldable and willing to ask those questions that might otherwise feel silly when they get in middle school and they're too old to talk to people.
I know, it's true. That middle school format with the middle school mentality of the kids, they don't like to ask questions. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't. But the elementary kids, they they'll ask
Yeah.
Yeah.
a million questions. They'll ask you questions you don't even want to answer.
Exactly.
But
Middle
to
schoolers want to know what you make every
Right.
But, you know, the elementary schoolers, they'll ask you everything. So I
Right.
think that's great. And then maybe it'll be interesting because they'll probably remember that,
Mhm.
oh, I wanted to be this in elementary school. And if they continue and go to the career fair, and we'll see, oh, do you still want to be that? And is that type of person still at that career fair? So
Yeah.
that'll be exciting. And then I love that you're now going to have the opportunity to get your face into regular community events in Northbridge. It will be nice to see you around town, whatever that means in terms of not at a Board of Selectmen meeting or a Finance Committee meeting talking about budget. So
I might have my granddaughter in tow,
that will be exciting.
but I'll be
um,
there.
So yeah, that's wonderful. And as the other person on policy, I'm actually a policy nerd, so I'm very excited to deep dive into that book with you and bring it up to speed and get rid of some of those antiquated policies. So I'm here for your goals. So.
Yeah, I think the goals are great. The one that piqued my interest, or the area that piqued my interest, kind of like what Heather just said, was the MyCap and specifically the career fairs. And from some experiences I've had, more specifically the older ones, the high school, I've got some ideas that I may send your way to, you know, as you get, or that would be something that you would do later in the year, or might you?
I'd like to start planning it early in there, and I'm meeting with the DCs and team leaders tomorrow, and we're going to talk about some of these things. You know, what should we do when, you know, create some timelines where it makes most sense for the kids, because we don't want to wait till the last minute to the end of the year.
Kind of a big cartoon concept of it. It's kind of like, you know, the whole gym, the station set up.
Yes,
And all different
100%. Yep. Yep. And I'd like to get more military involvement.
Well, I was thinking not just military, but there's a whole
Yes.
bunch of government service stuff
Mhm.
that people are just not aware of. I certainly
Yes.
wasn't. You don't have to put on a military uniform,
Yes.
but you're still a
Yes.
government employee.
But I don't think students realize that if they don't know that, you know, within the 5 branches of the military, there's thousands of jobs
Oh, yeah.
that are incredible that I don't think they know
Sure.
they could do. So I think all of it. We need a little of sprinkling of everything. Yeah.
So,
I look forward to the community engagement. I think that that's really important. I think given that the 2.5 override went through, just putting a face to the name and making sure that you're out in the community. You guys are, you know, asking for the money, so they want to see that it's being put to good use. It's a big amount of money. So.
So next up is policy JKAA, physical restraint of students, a revision of the policy.
And I kind of tried to, I know they're long policies. So I put together a little summary. Just so you can see the difference between the policy and the policy that we had in the handbook was not old. It was from 2024, but there have been amendments to the law since then that became effective yesterday, August 17th. So it was just a physical restraint policy that we had. Now it is timeout, seclusion, and physical restraint because that's where the law changed. So essentially, the main differences in the new policy, the timeout is more clearly defined and regulated when a student is, you know, given a timeout, and it, you know, what the requirements are for what that setting can be and what it cannot be. Seclusion is addressed as well. And seclusion is only used as a last resort. You know, I think that there was some deliberation between what's timeout, what's seclusion, what is the difference. So this spells it out. And there are 7 parameters around if you have to use emergency seclusion. These 7 things have to exist first. So it truly is a last resort thing. And I think I mentioned to you that we've already changed some of the rooms that we had in the buildings, and the building was built that way, to make them more sensory type rooms or calming spaces versus timeout areas or areas where, students that were dysregulated would be kind of put to the side to calm down. There's very, very strict parameters around what that can look like. And then there's now a 30-minute principal approval threshold, so no student can be in any of those situations for over 30 minutes. The principal has to make that decision because they have to answer to DESE. So, it adds more guardrails for us, and it protects the school district from liability, but it also protects the students as well. There's more parameters around what the physical space can look like, the cleanliness of it, the location of it, the doors, that they're not locked, that, different things. So there's very specific standards around that, which you probably read through. And then the physical restraint part, though, is pretty much the same. It is fairly the same as what was in there in 2024. There were small changes between when the building communicates with the parents that a restraint took place, that prior to it said it had to be verbal, and verbal was struck so that it could be an email communication, because there were PRS complaints being filed if the principal or whoever was calling the parent about the restraint would call 6-7 times and wasn't able to get a hold of the parent by no fault of theirs, and followed up instead with, a written email just to let them know, this is what happened, please call me if you have any questions. But PRS complaints were filed, not Northbridge, but just generally. And so they kind of struck the verbal and made it more broad, so that if it does end up being written, school districts aren't going to be sued for that because you did try to communicate. So obviously, speaking to somebody in person or, verbally is our first call, but, and it also reflects, all of the updated legal requirements in the Mass General laws that were rewritten. So that's pretty much it. It's a little bit more comprehensive, a little stricter parameters. We talked a lot about it today at our leadership meeting, and we'll be talking more about it. We're going to be creating cheat sheets for all our program staff, providing additional training for our program staff because of this new policy. But even our administrators, we had a very robust conversation about timeout versus seclusion versus exclusion versus, how can we use our pathways? How can we not use our pathways? So we had a really good discussion around it. But we don't have a lot of options in changing this policy. So.
I know we had our subcommittee meeting about this and discussed it, and obviously this is a legal policy. It's been created by DESE. There's no wiggle room, which means this is what we change it to. I just want to give kudos to the teachers that are in-house that have been working throughout the summer to recreate our spaces to comply with the updated policy, and to make sure everybody is aware that our teachers and staff will be updated with the policy and understand the policies and procedures that are going to be put in place, and contingent education will be put around this. I, for one, am happy that those rooms are more sensory based in nature, because I believe that children require sensory input to be well-regulated children, and sometimes that is what is necessary. I do think that sometimes the regulation piece is deeper than that, but I think that this might see a lot of improvement in some of those kids that just need a little bit of proprioceptive input or vestibular input to help them get re-regulated to be prepared to learn in their classroom environment. So
there was a lot of language too around not being punitive for students that were dysregulated or non-compliant for whatever reason. And, putting that line between what is disciplinary versus what is a student that is overstimulated or a student that is struggling, socially or emotionally on a particular day, and not giving them an activity or a timeout that has any kind of punitive connotation. Trying to find a positive behavior to replace negative behavior. So it's a mindset that we're going to have to train, retrain, and try to uphold this year. So.
Any questions about the physical restorative? Next is the policy JFAAB, the residency policy addendum.
Yep. So as you know, we just redid our residency policy last year, I believe, right? Years go by so fast. I think it was last year, yes. And we did the affidavits and the statements because the building admins were having issues with people, and we were having issues, frankly, with some of our school choice students that weren't filing the school choice paperwork. And again, it's not that we don't want students here. We do. We want students here. We want school choice students here. We just want people to do it the right way and give us the right information. God forbid there's an emergency and we don't have the right information. But we get additional funding for students that school choice into our district that don't live here. We're entitled to that. If students are going to other districts, they fill out the school choice paperwork. Students that live here, they go to other districts. They're getting the school choice money for students that live here in Northbridge, and the same should happen for us. No matter what time of year it is either, because we can still get an installment of the school choice at certain times of year. So this has come up a lot as of late. And the secretaries have been struggling with it because there's been a lot of families that have moved out, and people catch wind of it and inform admin or inform the secretaries, but then, no, we still live here, but, So essentially, this is just a way for us to confirm that, or just remind people that, just be honest, if you moved out and you want to come to our schools and we have seats available, you are more than welcome to be here. Just please fill out the school choice paperwork. It's very simple. But I did a lot of research, and there's many other districts having similar problems that have an annual policy where they choose a few grades. Typically it's the transition grades. So if they have like a lower elementary and then an upper elementary, a middle, and a high school, they'll choose, the top grade from each of those schools, or the low grade from each of those schools, and they'll do kind of a annual check. So it might be, kindergartners, third graders, sixth graders, ninth graders, and they do an annual check for residency, and they ask families to just submit these two documents, upload them into your parent portal in your information system, and then the secretaries give it a check just to make sure. But, if people aren't really residents, it's an opportunity to identify them and say, hey, fill out the school choice paperwork so that then we can at least collect the school choice money per student that does not live in our district. So that's what this policy would attempt to do. So we would be looking at second grade, fifth grade, eighth grade. Right now, because we have 6 and 7 only at middle school, those are kind of 3 years apart each.
Those reviews you're talking about, with the principals at a minimum, look at something that's been reviewed by the secretarial staff, they come up with here's the data, here's the packet, the file, and everything that we scrubbed.
Mm-hmm.
So that
The secretary.
What I refer to as a leader, a green tabber, is now looking at it. Because what I hear that only concerned me a little bit was that you've got a school secretary in that pressure position.
Mm-hmm.
and that it's a leader thing to have to put to be able to put the muscle behind it, so that that secretary doesn't feel like doing that.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
The secretaries will keep the data, we'll check the portal, check the information as it's uploaded. And if they find information that doesn't align, yes, the principals will be the next one to say, hey, you need to fill out school choice paper, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yes, 100%. We won't make them be the
Yeah,
heavy.
no, I'm just, yeah,
Yeah, we won't put that all on them.
yeah. Okay.
So this is the other policy that we did in subcommittee, and I just think this policy shows how we're taking steps to ensure that we're being very fiscally responsible and holding other towns accountable for paying this for the students who reside in their town while the students attend our school. And while it may not be astronomical, we'll be able to track the data and show the trends of how even a modicum of savings can impact us. And that we will always do our due diligence as a district to make sure our taxpayers are a priority in conjunction with providing quality education for our kids. So,
Well, the other piece is if they move away and don't tell us, and it's a student that, and I know I've shown the committee examples of students with different needs, it costs us a different amount of money. And if it's a high need student that's got a high price tag, and we're not getting any kind of support from the district or the town from which they come, it could be more than just the school choice money that we're missing out. So
any other questions or comments? All right. I don't see anybody here for public comment. So we'll move on to action. So the first item on action is the land and trails. I know we discussed this pretty lengthy at our last meeting. So we actually have two options to bring forward for action. So someone would need to make a motion for. We would either present the option for a student representative for this or a school committee representative. So we can first discuss this again if anybody has any questions or concerns regarding the land and trail stewardship representative, or if no one has any questions or concerns, we can move forward and someone can make a motion for a student representative or a school committee representative.
I make a motion that we have a student representative
And I get
for the land and trail stewardship.
a second.
Second.
Okay.
Okay. Aaron Meager,
Yes.
Carl Cowan,
Yes.
Dana Booker,
Yes.
Heather Alden,
Yes.
Pam Laporte.
Yes.
It is passed.
So Amy and I discussed, and we will forward the information on to, I believe, the history department, who will provide them with the talent bank form and a way to apply. And hopefully, we will have at least one, if not more than one student come before us at the first committee meeting in September to present themselves, and then we will possibly vote that night, depending on how many. And I will update the town hall as to where we will be moving forward with this. Okay. Next up is the 2026-2027 NPS District Handbook.
I make a motion to approve the 26-27 Northbridge Public Schools District Handbook.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Dana Booker,
Yes.
Pam Laporte,
Yes.
Carl Cowan,
Yes.
Heather Alden,
Yes.
Aaron Meager.
Yes.
It is approved.
Next, can I get a motion for policy JKAA, physical restraint of student revision?
Make a motion to approve the policy JKAA, physical restraint of student revision.
Second?
Okay. Aaron Meager,
Yes.
Heather Alden,
Yes.
Pam Laporte,
Yes.
Carl Cowan,
Yes.
Dana Booker.
Yes.
It is approved.
Next, can I get a motion for policy JFAAB, residency policy addendum?
Make a motion to accept policy JFAAB, residency policy addendum.
Second?
Pam Laporte,
Yes.
Heather Alden,
Yes.
Aaron Meager,
Yes.
Carl Callen,
Yes.
Dana Booker.
Yes.
It is approved.
Okay, next up is school committee goals 2026, 2027. I know we have some discussion about this, mainly related to goal number 1 surrounding the Facebook in particular. I know Carl has some poignant comments. Before you address them, I will let you know that I have spoken with Tracy Novak, who is our school committee rep. And Amy has also spoken with our attorney. They have both indicated that that is a little too gray in terms of there's no specific indicators to say that we shouldn't, however, it's a little too murky. So I would suggest that we remove that from our specific goals. Section C of goal 1. They indicated that it is more appropriate for individual members to have their own Facebook pages.
I've seen those.
Yes. I, as the chair, would not do that given my professional career. It is not something that I can do. So I think that if the rest of goal 1 is something that we feel is measurable enough for community trust and communication, whereby we attend the Board of Selectmen meetings, Finance Committee meetings with Amy to support her town halls and or quarterly meetings, if we feel that is sufficient, or at a later date, if anybody can come up with additional ways in which we can add to that, we can bring it back to the table. But I would suggest at this time we remove goal subsection C, and if everyone is comfortable with the remaining section of goal 1.
I make a motion that we remove subsection C of number 1, create a school committee Facebook page.
All other goals on the page.
If everyone else
Yeah.
is comfortable with everything
Yeah.
else moving forward,
Yeah.
then we can vote to,
I'll second that.
okay. So then we will remove section C from there and we can move forward with the remaining steps
Okay.
of our goals.
Now I make a recommendation, that we approve the goals.
Okay.
The school committee goals for 26, 27.
You got all that, George?
Yep.
You gotta line through something there, but.
Yep.
Yeah. We're ready for a vote.
I didn't hear a second.
I'll
Oh,
second it.
Oh,
oh, sorry.
Aaron.
I heard the second for removal
Oh,
of
sorry.
subsection C. That'll be Dana Booker,
Yes.
Heather Alden,
Yes.
Aaron Meager,
Yes.
Carl Callen,
Yes.
Pam Laporte.
Yes.
They are all accepted except for section 1, subsection C.
Next up is fall town meeting capital article request for the middle school auditorium. Is there any questions or concerns before we vote? We've talked about this ad nauseam, but can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the fall town meeting capital article request for the middle school auditorium.
Second.
Pam Laporte,
Yes.
Dana Booker,
Yes.
Carl Callen,
Yes.
Aaron Meager,
Yes.
Heather Alden.
Yes.
It is approved.
Last up, staffing update.
I think we started.
So, unfortunately, it is not atypical in this current environment for people to think it's okay to resign from a job a week before the school year starts. Also, apparently, it's okay to accept a job in a district, get your badge, get everything, and then resign a week before school starts and go to another district and for a better offer. Me personally, I find that appalling. But this is unfortunately this is the environment we work in. You know, especially in education where there's so many shortages, people can have whatever job they want, wherever they want, for a pay that we couldn't have even imagined 10 years ago. So, yeah, as you can see, this is a little bit different than last meeting. We've had a lot of instructional assistants leave. You know, they don't always tell us where they're going. We have done some exit interviews with certain positions that have left. We had a BCBA leave from NES. We did do an exit interview. We've had a couple teachers that left that we did exit interviews with. The vast majority is going to other districts with higher pay scales. But we're still, we did lose our team chair at the high school. She's actually going back to a classroom teaching position. She wants to go back to the classroom, so that was a little bit different. And then we did hire somebody at NES, got them all credentialed, got their badge, and then just a couple days ago, she said that she was not going to be coming to Northbridge. So we talked about it. Those two positions are really tough, the team chair positions, because that job just never ends. So we talked at leadership today about how everybody's going to have to take on a little bit more until we fill those roles, as far as, you know, running meetings, the admin running certain meetings. Fortunately for us, our high school principal is a former special ed person. Our middle school AP is a former special ed person. And our elementary, one of our elementary principals is a former SPED director. So we do have SPED expertise among our admin staff, which is helpful, but we're hoping that we can fill these positions within the first week of school. But in the meantime, we have kind of put emergency plans in place of what to do. But we are still looking for 2 tech teachers, the NES and middle school split position, and then a tech person at NES. We did have a tech person at NES, and it was a licensure issue that we couldn't keep her. So we have been actively seeking that position. We're still looking for 2 special ed teachers. Actually, where's my other list? 2 special ed teachers at the high school, but I do believe we'll have those both filled before the school year starts. And the K-5 technology position, we're looking to creatively, if we are unable to find a certified person, we're thinking about creatively changing that role for this year into more of a STEM role and seeing if we can get a STEM person versus a technology person. Because we do have 1 tech person, it would just be alternating related arts here between typing, so to speak, and STEM, depending on the grade level. So we're going to try to think outside of the box and make sure that we have people in place. And some of these are being filled. The grade 6 special ed is in the pipeline. I got the employment action form for that one. So I believe that one is being filled right now. And the BCBA, Angie did find somebody, so we'll know tomorrow if that person's going to come on board. The IAs, the principals are constantly interviewing, but hopefully we'll be able to fill those. That Title I tutor at any NHS, Eric just sent a hiring form for that role, so that one will be filled, hopefully. And then we have some food service worker positions open. So we're doing our best to fill in. What I can say is that since the last time we met, we did hire an engineering teacher who is PLTW trained, which is great. We can bring back Project Lead the Way. We have all the equipment for that, and he'll be able to implement that with our students. So that was a great find for us. And the engineering teacher we had is moving into physics. That's his specialty. So some of the changes are positive. We've filled all of the teaching positions that we had open at NES, which is fantastic because we had quite a few elementary positions, and we got some really great, young, vibrant people ready to start their careers. They were at teacher orientation today. We got a great EL teacher for the middle high school, very experienced, seasoned individual. And we did fill both the EL positions at the elementary school too. And those people that are coming in have experience with the co-teaching model that we're just implementing. So we're getting some people that will be able to actually probably help our veteran teachers, embrace that model a little better. So there's some positives here, but yeah, the principals are a little on edge right now. So fingers crossed, we just keep pushing out the advertisements. We've got them on Facebook. I put them on my personal Facebook, and we're putting it in as many places as we can. So
I'll text Maddie's mother and tell her she can't put it.
yes, please, please. But no.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Heather Alden,
Yes.
Carl Cowan,
Yes.
Pam Laporte,
Yes.
Dana Booker.
Yes.
Aaron Meager.
Yes.
We're adjourned.